Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Great to have you with us today. Why don't we start with a little bit about Grab, the past, the present, and maybe a little bit about the future ambitions in terms of the journey that Grab's been on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for having me here. Grab is in our 13th year, and it's been quite a journey. When we started, we were a small taxi ride-hailing business. And from there, we developed into private car ride-hailing. And then we added other products along the way. We added other delivery on-demand services, whether it's the food services that you need, cooked food. We branched out into uncooked also, where you need your grocery, and you also need your daily things that you need last minute. So that's our deliveries business. We also added supermarket, believe it or not. We also run offline retail supermarket. And from there, we branched out to omni-channel. And then about 5 years ago, we branched out to fintech. And we have a payments business, a lending business, as well as we run 3 digital banks. So a very complex business. We're in 800 cities now in Southeast Asia, across 8 countries. And it's been just amazing just to see the evolution of Grab. I've been with the company now for about 5.5 years, and just been an amazing trajectory of growth, but also of just keeping up with technology development that's happening around the world.
Yeah, what an amazing story. I'm a big fan, a big customer. I live in Singapore, and I always feel like I get a better experience from Grab than when I go traveling and use other ride-hailing services. It's amazing how accurate it is and the kind of service that you get for it. Where I wanted to go is around your future. Like, what ambitions does Grab have for the future, and where does technology play in that future?
Sure, yeah. If you look at the product evolution of Grab in the last 3 years, we've been really reaching out to the masses. We know that Southeast Asia is underpenetrated when it comes to digital on-demand services. When you have 660 million people, over half are under the age of 30, and they completely missed the web. They went straight to smartphones. So how do we then use that captive audience and really marry up products that suits their habits in living on the smartphone? So a lot of the emphasis now for us is how to make our products simple, accessible, and affordable for these masses that can use our services. Now, where we're heading is more now, how do we leverage the latest technology? And we've been continuing to really evolve our AI strategy as a business. We've always been using some sort of AI over the last few years anyway. But what we've been doing a little more is how do we make this AI relevant? And what our CEO calls it AI with heart. It's personalizing that experience. When you have the Grab app also, you want to have that personal experience in whether it's food or whether it's accessing to rides or financial services.
Now, let's bring it down to the finance operation and technology's role in finance, because technology, whether it be mobile, cloud, AI, or data and analytics, has significantly changed the role of the finance function. So when you look at your team, how are you challenging them in terms of new technology adoption, and what are the technologies that you're adopting in the finance organization?
Yeah. What's been happening in the last few years is just a rapid change of technology when it comes to related to finance itself. You have a huge choice now in terms of what you want to use. So in Grab, what I always tell my team is, despite this huge plethora of products that are out there, let's really think about how do you change the way you work? Like, let's really step back and look at how do we work, because every organization is different. How they function, the culture is different. Then how do you take those things here and apply back to Grab and unpack it and see where we could change the way we work here internally so that we can reshape the productivity and the efficiency of what we do, and also how, from finance especially, how do we be better business partners in helping the business continue to move forward and grow at the same time. So that's been really the core fundamental. How do you add more value back to the organization?
What are the key use cases that pop up? Do you see an opportunity for Gemini in your organization? Is there deliberate initiatives for adoption? So has it become one of those tools that you're talking about around that connectivity and deriving value out of the business?
Yeah, Google Workspace has evolved also, especially with the addition of Gemini. And I think one big thing that we've learned a lot is the collaboration part within the Google Workspace. That's one critical part. It's a complex organization. We just went through all the different products, the different verticals, businesses that we have today. It is a fairly complex organization. Lots of information scattered everywhere. We have multiple languages also that people speak in the countries. So how do you then collaborate as this complex organization? And really what we found, Google Workspace is able to connect. And it's able to make you more efficient. Just like how you would do a Google search, you can do a lot of these things now in a workspace environment through different files. And with Gemini now, you've got now this extra layer of a personal assistant that's able to actually now make it more effective, more productive at the same time. So I'm a big fan of using your Google Workspace and your Gemini products. I think it's something that I wish we had it many, many years ago. But now I think we're going through this amazing, exciting season in finance, especially, and unlocking some of these opportunities in using AI.
Often you get drawn to a technology or a service for a reason. And I'm interested in how you're using NotebookLM in your organization or your daily work.
For sure. I get a lot of long documents a lot of the time. And that's just part of my job. So I use Notebook a lot for two things. One is to have a conversation on the document. Like I have these long hundreds of pages of documents, pass out all the things that I need to know. What are the risks? And what are the key things that I need to look at? And what I need to ask questions about as being the audience of this document. So that's one use case. The second one is actually my favorite. While I love reading, sometimes my time is limited. I use the audio version. So I love that podcast kind of style because you can actually listen to it when you're driving, you're on the car, you're on the train, you're on the plane. And actually, I find it a little bit more soothing, actually, and more educational for me in absorbing the content. So I love it.
And we just learned today about the video capabilities.
I love the video version, by the way. Yeah, and all these slides comes up. And I think that's going to be my next one that I'm going to use.
Yeah, I think about this as like it's the generative AI phase and wave, but it's an information age. So leading with AI is as much about people as it about technology. How do you see your role in evolving and preparing your teams at Grab to get ready for whatever's coming in this wave of AI?
About a year ago, probably 2 years ago, I think there were people that were sitting on the fence. Like, is this thing going to last? Is this just a season? There were folks who were skeptical. And one of the best investments that we did, this is a kudos to Anthony Tan, our CEO and our founder, was that, you know what? We need to really demonstrate the power of this technology and let people touch it and use it, and they can make their own judgment at the end of the day. I can preach and tell them to use it, but at the end of the day, they need to make the final decision. So we did a generative AI sprint for 10 weeks last year in Grab. And we said, all we're going to do is really just double down and focus AI. We stopped doing all our usual stuff. Our engineering team did not make any new features. We didn't roll out any new products, which is kind of scary when you're a tech company, when you're a consumer company, where you say, you know what, the factory's going to shut down for 10 weeks. But we planned it and we did an amazing job. But what we did was in those 10 weeks, we really learned about AI. It was a great 10 weeks where all the tools were available for us to use. We had thought leaders also sharing outside of Grab, sharing about what AI is all about. We got to experiment many things. We can break things also at the same time. And that was really one of the turning points I found in our organization of really looking at AI as an opportunity, but also people appreciate it. And that's one of the biggest things I found with any new technology is that adoption and really just embracing it. And then since then, this is now coming to about a year now from then on, we've just become a part of the life of Grab now, where we are just finding ways of how to use all this new AI technology and really just expanding our knowledge at the same time. I want to learn more what's out there that we can use. So it's been really exciting. It's a change management, I think, is one of the key things in really for folks to adopt AI.
That's an awesome initiative. I mean, 10 weeks is a big investment. And as you said, it would have sparked a curiosity with your people, and then it would become part of the organization's DNA. So last question, and I wanted to make it a business level conversation about how do you measure the investments you make around technology investments? And it's kind of hard when generative AI technologies are kind of new, but Grab seems like early adopters and you're making that a key part of your DNA. So how do you then look back at a technology investment and go, are we getting value? Are we driving productivity? Are we saving cost? Are we driving things to the bottom line? How do you look at it?
Yeah, it's a difficult question, and I get that asked quite a fair bit, actually.
I can imagine.
From investors especially.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to measure. So I would say we look at a few lenses that I take right now. One is there is a productivity or an efficiency that you could observe and you could also measure in some way. As the business continues to grow, the demand of a particular employee continues to increase. And there's only so many hours in a day. And your task continues to increase also. So how do you pack it all in, also be more efficient in the same amount of hours? So there is some efficiency and productivity. And a forcing function as part of that is also the number of headcounts that's been added to an organization as the business ramps up at the same time. So there is a correlation. And what we've seen is we've been able to, when the business is growing at 20% plus, we haven't had the need to actually increase headcount at the same pace. If anything, actually, it's much lower pace. So that's kind of a measurement for me at the moment to get a feel for, are we being more efficient, being more productive? It's not exact. It's more of a gut feel at the moment, because there's a $100 number that I can actually tie back. I think that's one lens that I look at. The other one I would say is the sentiment of the employees. I think that's one thing that people underestimate, because it does drive employee engagement. It does drive also passion within an employee, because what we are equipping these employees is a new skill set that may not exist in other places. And that also has effect on retention from a perspective from an employer, but also helps culture. That's also a hard number to really quantify at the end of the day. You can look at attrition rate, you can look at employee engagement. Now, as this technology evolves, I think at some point, there is probably a dollar they can assign to all these things. But I don't think we're at that juncture as yet as an organization here. That's how we look at it currently within the Grab lens.
Yeah, I can see a lot of opportunities for driving productivity and cost savings there. Well, we are very excited. We're very privileged to have you as a Workspace customer. We appreciate your time today and very excited about what Grab's going to do in the future. And we look forward to being a partner in that future.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.